sitting here really looking at this model for the first time for a while now and preparing to make this video, I'm struck once again by the almost impossible task of conveying what I'm seeing in front of me through the use of video and photography. It has often been said that an image of a miniature model should never be reproduced larger than actual size. Every fraction that we enlarge the image destroys further that spider's web-like delicacy which is the essence of a miniature model. It will magnify minute and otherwise invisible faults and blemishes, and if you keep on going, ultimately turn invisible specks of dust into snowballs. Notwithstanding, I did that for all of my books in order to show and explain in a visual format my methods for building these miniature models, and it seems I'm now doing much the same here, so I ask for your forbearance. As an example of this, in several photographs you'll see the stud link anchor chain. The individual links are hardly visible to the naked eye. These links were made from very fine wire before being joined together. Viewed in extreme close-up, to my eyes at least, they look extremely crudely made. Added to this, of course, when looking at photographs, we lose the third dimension, and with it the feeling of spatial presence that any model or sculpture has as we move around and view from different directions. However, bearing that in mind, now for the model. I built two models of CA class destroyers, the Caesar and the Cavalier. HMS Cavalier is preserved at Chatham Dockyard as a museum ship, well worth a visit for general atmosphere and to gain a feel for the subject, but due to a series of refits post-war, little as I'm afraid as it would have been in 1944. However, there are excellent plans available for both ships at this date by John Lambert. These are, as far as I'm aware, still available. The building of the first of these, the Caesar, became the subject of my book Waterline Warships, which describes in detail the construction of the first model. Well, 18 months later, when that model was finally completed, I swore I'd never build another one, largely on account of the nightmarishly complex Hayesmeyer Bodfors gun to be seen amidships. These gun mountings were, in real life, incredibly complex and prone to failure. Consequently, they were only in service for a short time before being withdrawn. As a result, any photographs were just about impossible to find. Those I did manage to dig up weren't close-ups and all but useless. Over a period of time, using basically the drawings by John Lambert, I managed to put together at least a reasonable representation that could be shrunk to 16 feet to the inch. But a good few weeks of fine and frustrating work went into its construction. Some years later, in a moment of madness, I decided to build the model of Cavalier that's the subject of this video, largely because of the Hayesmeyer mount, which it must be admitted does make a fascinating project in its own right, but also of course it meant I was able to utilise much of the extensive research carried out for the first model. I thought with all this previous research to stand me in good stead, it would be a breeze. Well, it wasn't exactly a breeze, but it certainly went somewhat more smoothly. The other reason I particularly wanted to build another destroyer model was to really get to grips with weathering and in particular trying to realistically represent the faded paintwork and rusted surfaces that are commonly seen in photographs of warships during wartime. Many models of 20th century warships have always seemed to me to be too pristine, including most of those I've built in the past. It seemed to me that one of the real problems with the decks of these smaller warships for the model maker are the large areas of flat, bland surface, deck and hull. Most warship models built to a small scale seem to depict these areas as smooth and featureless areas, but if you examine photographs of these battle-weary ships, you will see a mass of plates, strips and sometimes patches. So I felt that I would like to bring those areas to life as much as possible by correctly plating the sides of the ship and the decks, painting with slightly different shades of paint, and the addition of subtle rusting and staining, hopefully to bring more life to the model. This is something I had not experimented with in the past, largely because of the desire for a more pristine finish being requested from clients. I leave it to you to judge the result.